What have astronauts got to do with surfing? Well, on the surface, not much at all. But if you think about it, it's more what they are as a breed and what they represent. It's all part of our quest to know more and to push the limits as we reach for new horizons. The race to other worlds took off in the 60s, and in 69, we touched the moon. This was the dawn of an era. In many ways, so it was with surfing. It too took a giant leap in the late 60s. The traditional was dumped in a wave of development and experimentation that included shorter, faster boards. Terry Fitzgerald was very much a part of this movement.
For developing speed and for developing down-the-line power, I think Queensland is still the ultimate. These days, of course, you've got to be able to catch a wave without anyone on it. Kirra before the groin was one of those places that you had to experience, man. And with everybody evading the draft as much as they could, and as soon as they evaded it, leaving uni or whatever they were doing, that was the place to be. Result of Queensland was Hawaii. Bigger limits, bigger edges, no leg ropes, trim or swim, and men were men and boys stayed on the beach. The funny thing about Rocky Point was that everybody surfed pipe or sunset. There's this rocky outcrop in the middle that everyone, look at that, great wave, but without a leg rope, man, you cut yourself and you break your board. But you could get out there and open up, and for me it was a natural transition from Narrabeen lefts to rocky lefts. Sunset was the place where all the footy players went to practice for Waimea. But for the young guys, it was cut a foot off the nose of your board, trim it down to 18.5 inches wide, and really ride the thin edge of the envelope. Guys like BK, Reno, Al, Sammy Hawk. There was a whole lot of young guys, and then, of course, the young Australians followed up. Mark Richards, Rabbit, Michael Peterson, Simon Anderson. Sunset was where you hot-dogged a 15-foot peak. Really, it was a lottery. It was pick a peak, but it was the man with the bottom turn that made the barrel, and that's what it was all about. Through the early 70s, Bells was the big event. It was the major contest that was happening through the late 60s and into the start of the professional era. And when Bells was flat, people would talk about these mystical garden paradises down on the southwest coast. We found one in about 1968. We didn't know it was Joanna, but when we went back in 1970, we recognised it. And Isn't it a great place to sneak away to? Still is. The whole era of 71, 72, Narrabeen lefts, car park rights. You could go out there with no crowds, still no leg ropes. A long hair and country soul, I guess, with the ammunition that Tracks magazine was into, but by the same token, guys like Butch Kearney, Chris Young, Ted Spencer, they were the guys breaking the ground. And the changes in boards then from 7.6s down to 6.8s, first wing boards, the ability to stay high on the face was a whole different thing. We got rid of twin fins for the first time. Surfing adventure, whether it's a trip up the coast to Taree or a trip to Hawaii or anywhere, it's all escapism. And I guess early trips to Burleigh that we did in 72, 73, 74, into Garudgegan, getting pillaged and plundered by pirates, and into Llombongan was pretty amazing for the simple fact that, well, the wreck's not even on the coral anymore, it's on the beach. For those days, you were first, it was new, and that was what it was all about. Same goes for Jeffries. Everybody saw Endless Summer and Bruce's Beauties, or Cape St Francis got the big plug. But the classic thing about Endless Summer was that they showed the inside of the bay, so to speak. 2 foot waves at Cape St Francis, the only thing you could really work out. If the Cape was 2 feet, Jeffries was 12 or 15. Boy, oh boy, were those guys fools. had at Jeffreys in 78, went for about 8 days. There was 10 or 15 surfers there, surfing up between the two contests in Durban. By the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th day, there was 2 or 3 of us left, and we were living on sausage and whiskey and penicillin. Sausage for energy, whiskey for warmth, and penicillin for disease. Look at the waves, it says it all. The old sparring partner was Fish, not only because we were both tied up with the Ripcurl promotions, but we had a few high noon shootouts in Cape Classics and what have you. I guess the Channel Islands, well, it was the last one. I call it a draw.
Making and shaping his own boards, Terry set a pattern for himself, but also he carved a career out of something he loved doing. Hot Buttered was his passport to travelling. This was the era of a new wave aggression, and Terry was intent on sponsoring a distinctive breed of surfers, and he found what he was looking for in Derek Hynd, one of the new, brash young surfers with a bust-the-door-down attack.
I started surfing in 1967. I discovered the beach one summer and never looked back. I kicked along until I got to some sort of level where I could at least compete and get slaughtered. And gradually from those beatings, learned how to compete against guys like Cole Smith, Simon Anderson, Mark Warren, Terry Fitzgerald, Ron Ford. Those were the days when competing meant really competing. You had to really watch yourself in the water. These guys were animals, and it was fun. And I think more than anything else, that's what shaped my bastard desire. Yes, we'll call it that.
But Derek's bastard desire, as he calls it, was dealt a cruel blow at Durban, South Africa.
My eye was gouged out at the high point of my career, and so the next year I clawed my way back to come back and finish 7th, which was the same spot as I had been the previous year. And to me, that was my own personal goal achieved, similar to a goal of someone wanting to be world champion or something. I never could pull a 360 off until I was out at Palm Beach one day and pulled 8 off out of 12, and I'd never done one before that. So that really changed my life, and I just went, right, this is a new manoeuvre that I can do with effect.
Kegg, of course, did things his way. He wouldn't conform. He couldn't be gagged and you couldn't cramp his style. But these were the credentials you needed to belong to the hot-buttered breed of surfers. They included surfers like Nick Carroll, a former Australian Open champion with his low-down, muscular power approach. The laconic Rob Hale, who epitomised the more flamboyant, laid-back style. And there was Rod Kersop, respected for his determination and application. And it was Steve Wilson who shoved the push from the south with power, pivots and precision. And Paul Burnett, a powerful goofy footer. Paul, along with the others, carried surfing into the 80s. And from what was their brash, abrasive approach grew a style which was more considered and calculated to establish one thing: a career as a professional surfer. And these are the surfers who formed the nucleus of the new surfing breed. Guys like Matt Cattle, Simon Law, and Vetea David. Matt Cattle is the quiet underachiever who can sneak up on you with a mind-blowing performance.
Been surfing about 10 years now. Come from North Narrabeen in Sydney and now living up at Coolum Beach up in Queensland. I mostly surf at Noosa at the point breaks there at Tea Trees and Granite Rock. My style's fairly smooth, but now and again I try something different just for a bit of variety. At the moment I'm doing the Australian Pro-Am circuit, and then soon I'd love to have a go at the World Circuit.
Simon Law is a former fitter and turner who quit Newcastle's industrial scene to turn on waves full-time.
My aim in pro surfing is to reach the top 16 in the world and further on to get into the top 5 in the world and just surf all my life, because that's what I've always dreamed of doing. Just go out there and try and be real smooth and be real radical at the same time. Get a real deep tube ride and catch really big waves and just do nice clean manoeuvres with lots of speed.
From Tahiti, Vetea David, Poto to his mates, is a former world junior champion. He was nurtured on left-hander Tarpuna, one of the most savage waves in the world.
I come in Australia to learn surfing because I'm a professional surfer, and I think there is some excellent surfer everywhere in Australia. I like to watch good surfer with powerful, big move. I like to do big move.
There's no better waves in the world than when a cyclone sitting off Australia's east coast decides to sweep mythical swells in our direction. Matt, Simon and Vetea flew to the Gold Coast for a classic surf. They met up at Burleigh. They picked the brains of local waterman Deane, who knows how to pick the most precise line of all.
I surfed Burleigh before about 3 times. The wave was smaller and really, really crowded. The wave was excellent and a lot of barrels. Take off the waves, you gotta go down the line because there's a long section coming, just pulling the barrels for long times. That was really fun because it's beach break. Never get hurt in the bottom. Going down the line really fast, he pulling in the barrel. That was Deane, and then I dropped in on him. that was an insane barrel.
All the boys were getting them right through from out the back, so I waited for about half an hour for my last wave, and then I finally paddled right out the back, weighed, and I finally got my best wave of the day, so I was really pleased.
After an incredible first day, the guys decide to head south and check out Lennox.
I've been once at Lennox before, 2 years ago, but not as good that we have. The biggest set was about 6 feet and really clean.
Getting out and getting in is the worst part of the whole surf. It's not fun trying to jump off there. and you got to time it between the sets. It's just hard.
The wave was just insane. Sometimes I get 3 tubes in one waist. In some ways I like trying a bit of variety, like a barrel roll or something, just to break the monotony of just doing re-entry bottom turns and so forth. It's just really different and it's good fun trying them.
Day 3 at Cabarita, and the swell still holding. Clean waves and a sandy bottom. You couldn't ask for more.
Every time I go surf, I do some stretch to make loose. Also, I don't want to hurt my body, so that's better for doing surfing performance. When there is no surf, I do a lot of exercise too, when it's flat. But when it's good waves, I always surf all day.
Sometimes when the wave is too long, I walk back because there is no rip. So you can jog on the sand. It's better than paddle back out.
Send Vetea out the back, or I'd go out the back, catch the wave, and you'd take off halfway along and start doing crossovers and that. It was really fun. We'd time it, one would do a bottom turn and the other would snap back off the face, and we'd turn as we're doing our manoeuvres without even stopping and stuff. It was really good.
Early morning, day 4, the last day. The guys are getting tired, but you've got to get out there.
That was my first time I surfed at Angourie. It was insane. And that day it was like 6 to 8 foot, and we were the first ones there, and it just looked like magazines.
I've been there before with Derek Hynd, but there was no waves. He told me this place gets really good when it's big, and now I believe him. I was the first guy to paddle out at Angourie that early morning. It was perfect waves. Simon, Carol, and me got all the waves, all the big set.
He'd just go out there and get the biggest wave, big long barrels, just come out and just snap it all up. He knows which waves to pick and which waves are going to hold up and barrel all the way through. Real early in the morning there was like 8-foot sets, but during the day, after a few hours, it dropped off to say 4 to 6 feet, and it was really, really good. Nice takeoff, big barrel, snaps off the lip. It was just perfect. It was unreal.
Really good barrel. The best waves I got at Angourie.
So, it's still possible to surf for surfing's sake, without the limits of competition. John Shortis is one of the newest members. He took time off to go to Indonesia in search of the perfect wave.
Beer was invented for girls like you, so you could have a sex life too. Just another drink or two, I might bring myself to sleep with you, 'cause as my vision blurs, my mind decays. You look beautiful through the haze. At .05 I can take or leave, but at .20 I'll say yes please, because you're such a spunk, but only when I'm blind drunk. You're such a spunk, but only when I'm blind drunk. Such a spunk, when I'm blind drunk. I know what you think, but you're wrong to tell me not to drink. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth, or would you rather go without? 'Cause in the cold